Okay, today we're talking about how to stack your items much like a inventory. So instead of using like counting down on objects, like if you collect an item and then there would be like a 1 there, collect another item it would say 2, collect another health it would say 3. Instead of using the numbers, I'm doing stacking instead. So this can be applied to an inventory, or you can use it for some other game or some other way of stacking objects besides inventory. But this is one thing I wanted to do a while back, but I couldn't figure out how to do. So I experimented with it and found out how to stack using items. Okay, so let me show you the demonstration first, and then I'll go and explain it to you. So right here I have 3 stackable healths. It could be any object. You could have, like I said, this is I geared this toward the inventory, but you can use this for some other way of doing stacking for your game. Okay, there's 3 health box here. You can't click on this. You cannot click on this. It will not click. It will not click here. Alright? But you can click here. Can't click here, but you can click here, and then you click last one. Bam. So this is how I did it. So basically I have 6 objects, 3 of which are green. I just made them green for just showing you a demonstration, and they're pretty much blank boxes. And then I have 3 health boxes. So the first health box is on top, which is called the F box. The second is called S box, and the last is last box. Okay, so the F box, went to the add event, clicked on the mouse, left pressed, then I went to the control tab and I dragged over a check object. Now the checked object says it's set to self, and the object's going to be S box. So it's checking the X box, which is the second image below the F box. The F box is the first one. The S box is the second box below the first box, which is F box. So it's checking the S box, the second box below the F box. And I have it relatives checked. And then it's going to switch, so it's going to switch this F box to, it's going to change to this first box, and I said yes. The first box is this green box, which is not visible. It's the same size, same X and Y origin as the F box, but it's not visible. Depth is at 0. And keep in mind that you make sure that the depth on the F box is going to be -1, so it's above the other 2 boxes. So you got to also be aware of the depth too on this. So -1 means that it's going to be at the very top, and these other 2 boxes are the depths at a lower depth. So back to the first box, it's not visible, the depth at 0. You don't really have to have a depth on this. But what's going to happen is it's going to change this F box into this first box, which is not visible, and it's going to make the coin sound. So basically, when you click on this, it's going to switch this health into an invisible box on screen, but it's not going to be on in your game. I mean, it'll be there in your game, but it's not there. So you have to have a blank box to substitute for the first box. I try to use a like destroy instance, but it doesn't seem to work correctly. So that's why I've done it this way, where I changed the instance from the health box, which is the F box, to the first box, which is not visible, but is there on your screen. But it's going to switch to the first box in your game, but it's not going to be visible. And that's what you need to make it happen versus using the destroy instance. So once it switches, so it checks the sbox, which is the one below the first box, its relative, and then this first fbox is going to switch or change into the first box, and I say yes. The changed instance, I got that from the main one tab, dragged it over. Alright, now the sbox, get the add event, get the left pressed mouse, drag over a check object again, have it select to self, then it's going to check for the first box. So, and it's set to relative. So now, instead of, it's not going to check the F box, but it's going to check the first box. It's going to see if it's there, and it is there on screen, but it's not visible. And it's going to be set to relative. And the S box, make sure the depth's at 1. 1 is going to be pushed back in the back. The depth is pushed back. Minus would be pushed above. When there's no minus, it's going to be pushed back. So this is pushed back by 1. This first box was pushed up by 1 because it's at -1. The depth on this is pushed back, which is at 1. So it's going to check the first box, which is this green box, which is not visible. So you gotta have these boxes on the screen. It has to be there. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So your image is going to have to switch from the health box to this invisible box that's in your game, but it's not going to be there visible. Okay, it has to be there. If you have a destroy instance, it's not going to work because it has to check another object that's in your game for this to work. So it's got to be there, but it doesn't have to be visible. So it's going to check the first box because that's what happens to the first one. That's what happens to the first health box when you press on it. It's going to switch to the invisible box, and it's going to make that coin sound. Then when you press your mouse on the X box, the S box, it's going to check the first box if it's there. And if it's there, it's going to perform the second task, which is going to change to the second box. And you say yes. The second box is going to be invisible, depth is 0, and it's going to make a coin sound. So the second box is it's going to be there on your computer screen, but it's not going to be visible. And like I said, the objects have to be in your game for this to work, but it doesn't have to be visible. Alright, and then after that, that's what happens. Then you're able to select the S box, which is the one below the F box. Then when you click on the last box, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to say check the second box and say check relative. So now it's going to check the second box that you just clicked. So you clicked on the S box, and then it's going to switch to the second box, which is not visible. And then when you click on the last health box, the last box, it's going to check the second box and check relative. Then it's going to change to the last box, which is going to be this invisible box, depth of 0, and it's make a coin sound, and that's it. And so if you want to keep on making more images to click on, you have to keep making these invisible boxes and health boxes. So each health box has an invisible box. So you have to keep, as repetition, you have to keep it up. So you create another health box, and you have to create another invisible box. And you have to do that for each item in your game. So if you have 5 gold keys and you have to collect each one has to have an invisible box or invisible key with it for this to work, for the stacking to work. And that's pretty much it. That's how you do stacking here. And I'll show you again. You can't click on this. You can't click on this. It won't allow you to click on it because it's below the first box. This is the first box. This is the S box. This is the F box, S box, and the last box. Each time you click on one, it's going to switch the F box to the first box, which is invisible. Then the S box is going to switch to the second box, which is invisible. And the last box, which is right here, is going to switch to the last, which is also it's the green box, which is invisible. And it's also going to make that noise too. It's going to switch to the invisible box, but it's still going to be there in your room, but it's also going to make that coin sound too. Thanks for watching.